And we are back. I did give everyone a 5 minute break, but then I think we spent like 7 minutes looking at my time. And yeah, thanks to the eAfrica Challenge for reminding me that 30 minutes is not a lot of time. I mean, you close your eyes and before you know it, 30 minutes is gone. Our next session, I am pleased to introduce you all to our next speaker. She's going to get to introduce herself, but I'll just give you an overview. Yeah. In the creative industry, whether it's traditional art or in this case, digital art, one key thing that opens up opportunities for creatives is the option of co-production, of collaboration. This is one way a lot of creatives have been able to expand their horizon to get access to lots of opportunities far and near. And so we'll be speaking with someone who is a legal consultant and who has actually done a lot of work when it comes to something she calls cultural engineering. Trust me, when she told me about it, my head was like, what did you say? Yeah. But as someone who has also, you might not know, I've worked not just on the digital art side. Last year, I think I enrolled in a program where I learned how to be an art curator, because I love art. Yeah, I learned that for about, was it 6 weeks or so? And even right now, I'm a member, I'm in cohort 5 of the Arts in Medicine Fellowship, where people are using art for healthcare. Yeah, it's really amazing. People are using art. I've learned so much. My mind has exploded. I'm reaching out to one of the organizers of this fellowship to come speak to us this week. And I hope she agrees. Yeah. But there's so much going on. And as artists, what a lot of the artists don't know is for you to be able to go far, you need information. It's across every field, whether you're a startup founder, a business person, or even a professional in tech, in business, wherever. You need access to information to understand where the opportunities lie. And here we'll be calling on Chidera, who is a legal accountant and many more things. She's going to introduce herself to educate us on what intercultural engineering really is all about. Trust me, it's an amazing topic. When she told me, I was like, no, you have to speak about this. And yeah, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Chidera.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you, Oscar. Special greetings to everybody. I don't know if you can hear me because this is actually my first time in this kind of setting, StreamYard.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, amazing, great. So thank you, and greetings to everybody who is watching this broadcast right now and people who I believe are going to gain access to this in future. I also want to thank you, especially Oscar, for giving me the opportunity to, to share and exchange with creatives of Africa. It's an honor for me. Well, so you were right when you said, when we talked about intercultural engineering, that you were mind blown, because for me it was also the same thing I experienced when I came across this studies I did in France. So I'm going to just shed on my hoping that I actually Oscar, excuse me, I put up a slide that I'm trying to share, but it's still up. I don't know if it's something that we could wait for, or is it something you can see on the as well? Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Sorry, I'm muted. Yeah. So I was like, if you have a slide, you can click on present and it will show you the options for you to share, whether you want to share your screen.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can use a share screen.
Okay, so I think sharing screen. Okay, I'm going to try that.
Okay.
I'm going to try sharing my screen now.
Yeah.
Ah, la, la. Okay. I don't know. I don't know which one is best to share. I think I'll go with the PDF. Okay.
Yes.
So
This, right?
yes. So
Super.
it's minimized. Is like when I minimize it, it's minimized.
Yes. Yes, it is minimized.
Okay, so this is not perfect. I'll go with this. Hoping this works. Okay. No, it's not working for me. I think it's a whole lot going on. It's not working for me.
Yeah, no
Okay,
worries.
yes, I'm just going to go ahead and so I'm going to throw light on my background for a while, just to because it's a movement, and so is interculturality. It's am I still
Yes, you are.
so?
We can hear you. Yes, you are. We
Oh,
can hear you.
pardon, please,
So I'm in the
pardon
backstage
with me.
watching everything. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So I'm going to throw light on my background because it's one that's had some movements to this point, a journey to this point. So first off, I'm a Nigerian trained lawyer who just happens to have a knack for creating projects and trying to make things happen in my own small corner of the world. Um, so I started with making small projects for during in school when I organized with some friends and well-meaning people um, to go have motherless babies visits or visit the orphanage community where our law school. Before then, I had to just speak with young people because then I left secondary school and I'm in university. And I had this feeling that some other persons, some other young persons will be overwhelmed by what's ahead. So I would just buy some of this writing materials, math sets, and the rest just to go speak with them in school. So this part of me had led me into many worlds, many organizations, and many events that I've been able to be part of, see what is going on. And with this put together, I started seeking more ways. How can one actually do these things on a larger scale, or especially to meet with the needs of more persons, because when you're talking about projects, you're talking about people, and then you see a pain point, you find out that it's not just the people in your immediate environment that needs this help. So I started looking for ways to get to keep doing what I'm doing, but on larger scales. So I came across my master's, and the master's program which I did in University of Bourgogne-Franche-Comté. It's in France, in a city called Dijon. The master's happened to be a very new one. Was the second set to have the opportunity to it's called International and European Cultural Engineering. Long and short of the name, I know it's a long one. The name is being able to conceive and create projects that fosters the relationship between European communities or the international world. So the essence of the masters is for you to look around you, from your own environment, from as who are in exchange program, look in your new environment. What are the things you're experiencing? Is there a problem in the society that can be solved with with already established cultural solutions, or are there cultural problems that maybe something like technology or science can solve, or help improve the lives of persons? So it's very broad, but then it says one thing: we are trying to improve our relationship with our neighbors, okay? And then we are trying to and then create ideologies, bring them to life, help us to have relationship and understand, then collaboration and the rest ensues. So I'm going to try again. I'm going to present this. Okay, is this working now?
Yes, it is.
It's stopped. Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
So yes, I had talked about my journey, and this is just a cross section of I created in Nigeria, and became part of myself. I was part of them, and this phase of my life opened my eyes to other things I wanted to do. Then, why is this topic important? This topic is important to me, and I believe to everybody who has, who at some point in their lives is going to go out there and interact with people. I mean, it's these days I don't see my neighbors as just my next door neighbor, the person living behind me, in front of my house, beside me. I see my neighbors as also persons who are affected by my comments, maybe on social media, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, persons who are affected by my videos, or, persons who are affected by my gestures online, maybe my videos, writings, whatever, your comments, even your comments under people's posts. These people have become our neighbors. So when we are talking about the world being a global village, like it is being compressed every now and then, and you find out that with people converging, with people coming together and having interactions, things like conflicts are bound to happen. And then you start asking yourself, how do you make a good relationship? How do you make collaborations to happen in situations like this? So this is why intercultural understanding is not just a luxury, it's a necessity. So whether it's in your business or in diplomacy or everyday interactions, our world is increasingly intertwined, and we are no longer just citizens of our nations, but global citizens. I remember seeing a video once of a guy saying that he's a global citizen, and I thought, oh, it's nice to be a global citizen. But I mean, with the internet and the smallness of this global village now, we all are global citizens, and it's our responsibility to bridge the understandings we have of other cultures beyond our own borders. So what is intercultural engineering? I'm going to try my best to explain. It's a broad concept, but intercultural engineering is simply the strategic and thoughtful application of cultural knowledge and communication skills, using these two things to bridge the gap between diverse groups of people and cultures. So that is to say, you have to recognize the complexities of different cultural values, different norms, and then you have to navigate their practices with the aim of fostering respect, collaboration, and shared progress. So these points in this definition or explanation shows you that intercultural engineering is something that I will call something you do on purpose. Okay, it's not something you just but something that just happens, because when we allow things to just happen that way, we are bound to have that will never end. So if you want to get to understand the concept of intercultural engineering, it's something that you do on purpose. But one thing I'm going to say is that in many areas of our lives, things, when um I'm going to use our workplaces in when you venture into the job market, you're going to be working with a certain kind of persons, and then you are prepared If you've gone through this process in life, you know that you are told to research about the companies that you are going the companies that you are going to meet, get to know their culture, go to their websites, find out activities that they've done. This is you purposefully getting to understand, the next person you're going to have an interaction with. And mind you, as you're doing that, if the company is really interested in working with you, they're also doing their background checks, which is why some people get their jobs applications cancelled because of maybe some blunders they made on social media or the rest or whatnot. So the point I'm trying to make with this is that intercultural engineering is something that you venture into purposefully with the aim of fostering mutual respect, with the aim of collaboration, and with the aim of sharing progress. Next, what are the elements of intercultural engineering? So with every definition, with every concept, there are elements that make up the whole. So being a strategic and thoughtful approach to bridging gaps between diverse groups of people, there are some elements that facilitate mutual understanding. So some of these elements are cultural awareness. This is a situation where you become aware of your culture, of your background, of yourself, and then extend it to becoming aware of other people's cultures. So I'm speaking, I believe that, with the name of this program, E-Africa Challenge, first of all, my background as a Nigerian, we have cultures in Nigeria, then not to talk of the entire Africa, like large. And so amazing that we are large like this, but know so little about one another. I mean, I am currently living in Europe, but it's a shame that into other African countries. And, when I came out here and I studied and I moved to some other parts of Europe, as part of my studies, I began to wonder why we don't have such liberty in Africa. In Nigeria, we already have a concept that, that is aimed, that was created to, help Nigerians to get to understand other parts of Nigeria, which is what we call NYSC. But there's a whole lot going on with NYSC when it comes to security and all that. But then this is the aim for things like this: a situation created, or a platform created for people from diverse backgrounds to be able to move, to exchange. It's a thing called mobility, to move from their parts of the world to other parts of the world, with the aim of learning about these people and becoming cultural aware of their neighbors. Then another element of intercultural engineering is open-mindedness. One quality I found, a mutual quality I found with Oscar is, our curiosity to dabble into, or dive into certain areas. I happen to have delved into tech for a while, and then I did a program on UX design, user experience design. So if you have a background in design and user experience design, you know that empathy is a key to creating products that will serve the people you want to create those products for. It's not just enough to make a beautiful product, but does it serve? Does it suit the pain points of your user? So empathy and open-mindedness is another element of intercultural engineering, in the sense that you have to put yourself in the shoes of the other person that you are communicating with. You have to put yourself in the for us expats here in not in our country, those of us who are not in our country, experts in other countries, we have to put ourselves first in the shoes of people that we are trying to communicate with. Like when I came here to France, I noticed first that the basic thing about French people is that they are not eager to speak English or any other language with you. They prefer to communicate with you in their own language. So I took some time to learn my French. I took some time to learn at least the basic things, how to walk into a shop and ask how much a price is, things like that. So this is me putting myself in the shoes of the people that I have come to live amongst. And then with time, when I started working here, and when I started meeting with other persons, I also found those of them who are culturally intelligent, to be able to put themselves in my shoes, to be able to understand that I'm far away from home, and what are the pain points I'm having, and being open-minded to accept me and my own culture, because there are certain parts of me that are not going to drop just because I moved. So empathy and open-mindedness is a strong element of intercultural engineering. Another element of intercultural engineering is negotiation and conflict resolution skills. I it's a thing for me to put this element out here. Many persons will think, oh, but I'm not a lawyer, it's something for lawyers. But there are certain conflicts that happen in our immediate environment that doesn't necessarily need a professional negotiator or a professional conciliator, arbitrator for those conflicts to be settled. So it's there are still elders among us, there are still elder minds among us who are able to bring different parties who are having a conflict. Maybe you're already on a project, you are working together at your workplace, or you have a business deal you're trying to do together. There are still persons among us who are naturally blessed, or who are curious enough to get to learn these things and find ways to help in negotiation and conflict resolution in our immediate environments. Pardon. Another point is flexibility and adaptability. And here I marked that there is a caveat to it. So what we mean by flexibility is being able to, like as the saying goes, when you go to Rome, you behave like the Romans. But then I added this caveat because there are certain values and norms which you hold dear and which you should hold dear. And you shouldn't part away with these things. But what I'm saying is finding a common ground, to live and let live, to in Igbo we say biri can biri, ebe belu go belu, nkesi beye bela okukwaya. So what this means is that live and let live. When I stay in my corner of the world, I should allow the other person to enjoy their own corner of the world. And like a tree is, every bird can actually perch on a tree. So I hope I have explained that saying properly. Then another element, another critical element, another important element of intercultural engineering is critical reflection. So critical reflection is where you look within. I have a couple of friends who I have noticed are their biggest self critics, and I've also learned to adapt that part. Being able to look within yourself, not always pointing the accusing fingers. Have you looked within yourself to understand yourself, your background? And not just for self-criticism, but to better understand yourself. And when somebody is trying to project certain parts of their cultures on you, you're also able to project yours, so that one doesn't overshadow the other. And the last but not the least is evaluation and feedback. In anything that has to do with communication, anything that has to do with exchange with one another, there is always a need for evaluation and feedback. So without further ado, we are going to go into the opportunities. What does open with intercultural engineering? I mean, there's a plethora of many opportunities out there. Like Oscar said, it's all about information. It's all about getting to know, what is going on in my immediate environment, being on social media, trying to find out how certain projects, came to fruition. But three of these opportunities which I have seen, I have experienced, are cross-border collaborations. I have put this picture of Rema with Indian flag behind him because of the story I heard about the situation. At some point in his career, in his music career, some people told him that his music Indian. And then when he became big in his music, his Indian community found him. So why this strikes a chord in me is because of cross-border collaborations. There may be certain things that you are doing in your immediate environment that speaks to some other persons in another clime. Like we're going to come back to that, Oscar. You mentioned the concept of twin cities. There are certain things, in your clime. There are certain things you're doing. There are certain things you are creating that that is relative to someone in other climes. Many times I've been on social media and I've seen some things that people are doing. I'm like, oh my God, I did this when I was a kid. There's always that correlation that if you find ways to bring it to life, it can take you to cross-border collaborations or have interactions with people who are outside your environment. Then another opportunity out there is financial grants. um, an example of financial grants, which I know very well of. I know there are many more out there for Africans and the rest, but this is one I know about. It's called Creative Europe. So Creative Europe is a platform that funds or gives grants to creatives who come together to create projects in the areas of culture like music, arts, theater, media, all areas of culture, even literature. That's a big part of culture. So when you're able to come together, collaborate, and create a project that that meets some of their goals as an organization as well, you start the chance of getting this fundings. Then another opportunity out there is educational opportunities. So we have Erasmus Plus, which is something I was also a part of. I benefited from during my master's. So Erasmus for me, if I'm to add the twin city concept to this, Erasmus for me is like what we have in NYSC, but then Erasmus is for people, study exchange. So it's a program where your students are able to go to another school in another country to do some months of study, maybe a semester of study. But the idea is also for you to get to understand the environment, your new environment, get to see a different climb, you understand, which is also the same thing NYSC promises for graduates in Nigeria. So another thing about this Erasmus Plus is that it's not just open for Europeans, it's also open for Africans. So I've also come across Africans who are beneficiaries, of Erasmus Plus. I mean, all the way from Africa, they got a grant to come and study in another country due to their Erasmus grant. So for me, my master's had an Erasmus part of it. It's not fully Erasmus, but then I came across people who are on full Erasmus grants and who are not even Europeans. So what the point I'm trying to make from these opportunities is that collaborations in film production, music, environmental initiatives, healthcare, and even STEM all goes to show that the opportunities lie in creating projects, that meets certain needs in the society, or projects that aims to proffer solutions using sustainable cultural practices. So there are two ways to actually bring yourself to accessing these opportunities. Oh, there's a problem in the society and we are trying to solve this problem. So how can we solve this problem? You can try to solve this problem by using already known sustainable practices that different cultures have. It's something you can do in environmental practices. It's something that you can do in diverse environments. So if you're able to create a project around these solutions, if you're able to create a project around these maybe advocacies and presentations, you stand a chance of having one of these doors open to you, be it in terms of collaborations, be it in terms of grants or educational purposes. So, what are the uses of intercultural engineering? So now that you understand what intercultural engineering is, how do you use this? How do you leverage intercultural engineering to foster growth in your environment, to foster social impact in your environment? You use it to solve problems. We have I made a comment sometime on my WhatsApp, where I that day I was actually thinking of many business ideas I've had, things I wanted to do in Nigeria. But then you you start writing your business plan and you see this massive block, looking at you, and then you don't feel the need for you to solve that problem again. And I've seen that this is also a challenge that many Africans are facing. But then if we can look at it from the side of collaboration, right? If you can look at it from the side of being able to access certain aids outside our environment, we find out that we can solve problems not just for our environment, but also for other environments. Accessing new markets. So you can use intercultural engineering to access new markets. For people in business, this is very important, because then when you're talking about marketing and you're talking about advertising, the people who you are going to be marketing your products to or advertising to are from different cultures and backgrounds. I mean, I watched a video one time about the animation Moana, and I found out that the name Moana is not accepted in certain cultures because of the meaning, or maybe certain things that have happened in their history that maybe has a negation to the name Moana. And then you find out that in those climes they had to change the name. I think one of those countries, I can't point right now, that Moana is Guyana. So you find out that it is the sensitivity of the cultures of other persons need to change Moana. You don't, you're not just gonna go force Moana on people who are not going to accept that name. You get, so it's a huge change to make, but it's also an important one that made every other person in that community to accept this animation. Another one is a certain McDonald's advertisement, that was created for a certain culture, but then readapted for a Muslim culture. It had ladies in their beautiful hijabs and robes, doing the same exact thing we saw in the other advertisements. For copyright purposes, I felt like, I shouldn't put it out here, but I mean, if you do come across it here, that's the one I'm talking about. So it's the same advertisement, right? But it spoke to the persons from this different culture. You understand? It highlighted their own norms, their own values, and this is as a result of intercultural sensitivity and engineering. Another use of intercultural engineering is strengthening community engagement and diplomatic ties. So community engagement for your local environment, for Nigerians in our multicultural environment, and for Africans in our large environment. And then diplomatic and trade ties, when you want to push your products, like I'm also speaking to an audience in gaming, design, tech. We are creating products that is Africa to the world. And then at some point, we are going to interact with persons from different climes. So using intercultural engineering is important in strengthening this community engagement and diplomatic trade ties. Another use is to promote sustainability and learn resources efficiency. So we're also talking about our environment, right? And you can't say you're promoting sustainability without actually learning how the people for whom you are promoting this sustainability does things on a normal day. Because yeah, some of our cultures have their downsides and it also has its upsides. There are sustainable practices that our cultures already, have developed and are still very much useful. So if we want to thank you, Oscar, for the reminder. If we want to tap into the bulk of these resources that we can also use to circulate around the globe, we need to learn to use intercultural engineering. And there's a lot more, but then a call to action. It's for the future. It's for a future that is collaborative, vibrant, and prospective, that we are talking about intercultural intelligence and engineering, which is key to having access to this future. So I urge us all to embrace this model form partnerships, tell your stories, advocate for your communities, and leverage the power of unity in diversity to bring forth both social and economic prosperity. Africa has all it takes to engage with the world in a meaningful, respectful, and equitable manner. So I urge us to seize this moment of globalization through intercultural engineering. Thank you very much.
Yeah. I just had to clap. Like, yeah, that
I,
was really beautiful. That was really beautiful. And I didn't really think of it from that perspective. I was more on that co-production side, but then I started also seeing the fact that even beyond, say, finances and all, in terms of content creation, intercultural engineering comes in, because you need to be consciously aware of the culture of the markets you're even looking at distributing into. And I think in the games industry, that's what we term as localization. So if you are building games for the Asian market, for example, you would have to localize it for that market.
yeah.
If you are building, I know if you are even creating mobile apps or desktop applications for the should I use the word, like for the Arabian market, for example, so Dubai, Saudi Arabia, there is a different alignment that is followed there when you are looking at the structure of your user interface. So this really is a part of, this is like localization and so much more. And I really enjoyed it. I don't know if you are listening, if you have any question, please drop it in the comment section. We really would love to take them and hear from you what your thoughts are, what comments you have. Please feel free to ask us those questions. We want them. And yeah, this is really cool. Yeah, let me take this so that we take this date. Yeah, this is really good. So, in your perspective right now, like you said, the world is becoming day by day, it's becoming more of the global village than ever. So where are the greatest opportunities for intercultural engineering that you have identified? I mean, if you look at the African continent, people are trying to collaborate across borders, within Africa, outside Africa. But from your own perspective, where do you see there are more opportunities for people to try this out?
Okay. From my perspective, I think we should start from home. Okay.
Okay.
I see a lot of us. I myself very much guilty, but there is nothing we can do, right? I see a lot of us trying to, have this relationship, abroad, 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 abroad. I get it. I get it. But to be honest, we have a lot. I mean, do you know how many we are alone in Nigeria? Do you know how many we are in Africa? And talking about the numbers, we're also talking about stories. We're also talking about ideas, right? We're also talking about capabilities. You get where I'm coming from. So I think that I'm going to give you just one last example, something I also experienced here, which makes me think that if we are able to do things like this back home, right? I mean, I know that there are other underlying factors, but if we're able to do things like this back home, it's a good place to start with intercultural, with collaborations. So the example here is that in France, after your studies, let's say a master's, you get 1 year to start a business or find a job that pays a certain amount. There are other things associated with it. And then I read in the papers about seven graduates, master's graduates, who came together to start a restaurant. Okay, these are seven graduates from different backgrounds. Maybe two of them may be from India, or but the idea is that they are from different backgrounds, and they came together, bringing in their skills in accounting, in business management, different skills, and started a restaurant. They were able to raise some funds and start a restaurant. I don't know the rest of the story. I don't know them personally, but it's a story I read from the local newspapers here. But the idea is striking me is that these are graduates who wants to stay back in the country, and for you to stay back, you have to prove that you have something doing in the country, and they were able to prove it. Now we have an enterprise created, and then we can pay our taxes, we can take care of ourselves, and we are serving the community. And I'm imagining a situation like what you're doing, Oscar, which is very amazing with your team. I'm imagining a situation where more Africans are able to come together, collaborate, and trademark, copyright, or whatever it may, our intellectual properties, but then package it in such a way that for us to now advance to the global world, we have value to give, and value that must be exchanged for something. You understand? When you are going into the market, you have to prepare your wares. So, and you don't prepare your wares in the markets. Some you do, but you prepare your wares from home, right? So that is, for me, this is a good way, a good place to start. Some of us who don't want to, persons who have in home in Africa, and I believe that they can use these resources to create something. I think Harmony was thinking of something like that. I think we have a mutual friend in Harmony. He was thinking of something like that, creating a common platform where people are going to come together to teach other persons, game design, coding, animation, and stuff like that. And I feel like it's a good way to start. You start from your environment, and then you exchange values abroad. That's what I think about that.
Yeah, that's an interesting perspective. And we can already even see some little of that, little samples of that happening across Africa, which is, like you said, one thing we really push for at our end. I do know, even from schools, universities, some of the studios that we have right now, some of the new studios came out from collaboration between students who are friends to start out. Just recently, the guys in Zambia, that's Chroma Pixel, they are working with the game developers in Benin Republic. Benin Republic, yes. And they have this collaboration. They both they're building a game together. And then together they went to Russia Creative Week just recently. So things like that is very important, especially for our space, the video games industry. I think I completely agree with you. It's still a small space, it's a growing space, and the different regions have their strengths. I do know that there are more artists in some sites and there are more developers in some sites, and we've seen studios try to come together. There's even the Park Pan-African Gaming Group. There are many activities like that going on, and yeah, very much needed. Very, very much needed. Yeah. So please, if you have questions, I can see some people online. If you have any questions to share with Chidera, please do drop it. I think I would drop, Chidera, if you could share, where's the best place they can reach out to you on?
Okay, so I am getting I'm still getting accustomed with the spaces. There's a lot of spaces online right now, and I'm like, okay, what's going on? What's going on? So yeah, but I am active on Instagram.
Okay.
I don't know. So at Chidera Arum. So
Okay.
it's Chidera Arum on Instagram and Twitter.
Okay.
And then I am also on LinkedIn and on Facebook.
Oh, super then. Okay, so we'll do a recap of
I also have
this.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so I wanted to say when we do a recap of this, we'll tag you across these social media so that people can follow up with your session and then connect with you, knowing that you are tagged in all of this. But yeah, I'll drop the Instagram link right now so people can actually follow up with you. I think I tagged you on Instagram already. Yes, I did. So I'll share it in the comment section right now. Yes. But before you leave, can we touch down that? I love that opportunity side of the deck. Can I go back there?
Yes, sure.
Yes, because I'm all for opportunities. Like once I hear opportunities, yeah. So I think it was basically yes. You gave some examples. Yes, I had the Rema tour in India. It was really massive, very very massive. The community did pull through for him. And there seems to be a lot of creative grants from Europe right now trying to get more co-production across. So let's just double down on the concept of twin cities. Let's go a little bit deeper. Yes, can you just give
Okay.
us a much clearer idea of what that looks like? I know you mentioned something like in some cities they might be facing similar situations or challenges like you, and that's an opportunity for you, even if not in the same region, to work together. So can you give more context to that?
Okay. So the first time I came across to the concept of twin cities was in my master's. Then every now and then we are brainstorming, trying to create some projects and also see what other people are doing around the world. So the concept of um, practically, it can mean anything for you the way you choose to interpret it. But practically, it's one city in one part of the world that looks like another city in another part of the world. So, with and streets, there may be similar. I think the two cities we saw then were some cities in Europe. I've forgotten the names of these cities, but in fact they were like picture perfect. They were the same kind of streets. So what some artists did as I wouldn't call it as a way of protest, but as a way of advocacy for people who sleep on the streets, homeless persons, kind of creating some sensations that will make them smile, just something little, not so massive. So they did some graffiti, some graffiti on this street, making it even more identical. Put some art, some interactive art in these two places, you get, and then got to see the reactions of persons who are on these streets on every day, the people who pass these places every day, got to capture their interactions. I mean, it's beautiful. It's that was my first encounter with Twin Cities. But for me, I started applying it to some other things. As long as there is a similarity with someone who is not in that same environment, for me it becomes a twin city, right? And then I started looking through this lens to some other things, like there is a relationship between the city where I currently live in, Bone. It's a wine producing city. There's a relationship between this city and a city in and a part of South Africa that also produces wine. You understand? So the fact that some parts of France produce wine, produces wine, brings trade together. So most wine growers in this part of France have talked about having trips to South Africa. You understand? So there is an interest. There is that that twinness in for me. There are many okay, for those of us in Lagos, I read somewhere that Lagos was named so because there is another part of Portugal that is also Lagos, that is called Lagos, and they have it's an island, or a water body, a canal, and then those guys said, I was like, it's like home. So these are concepts of twin cities that makes you familiarize with your new environment. It can be translated in many things, actually. I think you're muted again, Michael.
Yeah. Okay, then that must happen when you have online sessions. That must at some point happen. But thanks a lot.
Yes.
This has been very informative. This has really been very informative for me, especially as someone trying to push that Pan African collaboration and also creating opportunities for exchange within and outside the continent. And yes, there are lots of opportunities for that within the continent. Africa has a rich culture. What we just need right now is to see how we can create those systems for collaboration. And I think with intercultural engineering, we'll be able to understand how to relate. Because doing business in Lagos, Nigeria, is completely different from doing business in Kenya, in Nairobi, Kenya. Even though Kenya is like the Lagos of East Africa, Nigeria is like
Yes.
one of the busiest in Western Africa. Nairobi, Kenya is like one of the busiest in Eastern Africa. Yet the rules of business, of collaboration, of
Difference.
working are all different. So I think that this was really insightful. Thanks a lot for this. If you want to reach out to our Instagram link is there in the comment section. I've also just dropped our LinkedIn link. I think we successfully brought her back to LinkedIn. Yeah. So welcome back to LinkedIn. Yeah. And yeah, we will definitely have more discussions with you, being a legal consultant, also in the areas of IP and more. I think we would follow up on that discussion. That's much later, maybe in the month of October and all. But it was really nice having you here. And yeah, so anything you have to say to the creatives before you leave? Any
I'm
final
just going
notes?
to say, I'm just going to say that I am amazed at what I'm seeing. I watched the previous session before now, the game. I mean, I'm someone that gets excited very well. So when I see things like this, people, I mean, it amazes me because then, I mean, doing something right. And what I pray for is that, the environment becomes clearer for us so that we can shine. We have
Yeah,
all it takes. We just need good environments to shine from. That's just what I have to say. So encouragement, kudos, keep doing what you're doing. You're doing fine, but we'll get better. We'll get there. Yeah.
super, super. Thanks a lot, and do have a lovely night. Thank you.
Thank you, Oscar. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. So yeah, wow, that was very interesting. We saved the best for the last, you could say. This is the first day of the Africa Challenge. This is going to run down till Friday, and we have some really amazing speakers lined up for you. So do ensure to keep your schedule. They start every day by 5 p.m. GMT. Would have a couple of sessions, 3 sessions maximum per day, and you could schedule that into your calendar. You could register if you want it included. Um, yes, if you want it included, you can get the tickets on Eventbrite. It's totally free, but that allows it to be included to your calendar, so you don't miss out any session, and you get to see some of the sessions that are happening as well. So thank you. I hope you enjoyed today's session. It's the first. We just had the launch and then 2 sessions, one on games for education, the other on intercultural engineering. As the week goes by, you're going to learn about reacting, which is something I'm very excited about. You're also going to try and get to see some projects and some actual, real practical ways in which the creativity has been used for social impact, for social change. I think we'll be having some mini showcase in between sessions on some days where I bring some samples for you to see and get to understand more what we're trying to say. But the point is, as a creative, don't forget, you can make change. You can make social change. Your art is one of the strongest form of medium out there, one of the strongest medium out there for communication, for how do I put it? For communication, for inspiring people, for driving action and change. Your art is your superpower, and you can use that to make so much change. So, as an African creative, evolve. Look beyond the normal traditional ways of doing business. Evolve. Enter new business models. Venture out and try out new fields. And let's see how together we can grow Africa. I'll see you tomorrow, same time, starting 5 p.m. GMT. And have a lovely night. Bye.